Hello, Sun Devil fans. Brad Denny with 3TV, CBS 5, and the Speak of the Devils podcast here. Happy to report that I survived day one of ASU's fall camp. It was a scorcher out there on this Monday where ASU finally got after it a little bit, opened up fall camp, a lot of new faces even from the spring, which itself had a ton of new faces. Now, it was very hot outside, and it's kind of the NCAA rules. They kind of ease into these camp sessions. So today was just helmets only, not a whole lot of physicality. That'll come later in the week. This is actually the first of 6 straight days that ASU will be out on the practice field. I don't remember this is my 13th season covering the team of them starting off camp with just 6 in a row. Typically, it's usually like maybe a couple and then a day off or so, or even alternating days. But they are hitting the ground running for at least this first week of fall camp. They'll have Sunday off, and then they'll have some more practices during the beginning of next week before heading up the mountain to Camp Tonazona. So the heat was the real MVP on the day. Obviously, it was really hot out there in the middle of a historic heat wave here in the Valley. They actually had a popsicle break during the middle of practice as Kenny Dillingham wanted to keep his players, safe. That's a top priority. So they had a popsicle break in the middle, then a shorter water break near the latter part of practice. And of course, they are very well hydrated throughout every step of any practice that ASU conducts. But yeah, it's definitely something to take adjustment to. And some of the players were maybe struggling a little bit. And there were some cramps, but as Kenny Dillingham noted in his post-practice press conference, less than when they opened up spring. So progress being made, but of course, just getting into football shape is a little bit different than kind of what you and I are probably used to. Obviously, the big thing out of the gate in fall camp, as we talked about on recent episodes, is the quarterback battle. As expected, it looked like a 2-horse race with Trenton Bourguet and Drew Pine. Of course, Bourguet, as we talked about on the program a lot, had the better spring. That was kind of plain and simple, very obvious. But you can't necessarily discount Drew Pine out of the battle. And of course, go back to 2012 when Taylor Kelly was kind of running third in that quarterback race, had a strong summer, and came out in fall camp. Won the job, put together a great career. Today, it looked like both quarterbacks were pretty solid. Bourguet opened up with the one getting those first reps, although there was some rotation. Drew Pine, to his credit, did look pretty good. Had a number of good on-target passes. Did seem that he was struggling a little bit as kind of one of the issues that he had in the spring of just perhaps being a little slow in the pocket, going through the reads, or just taking a little bit too much time back there. Did throw a pick during a Skelly session. But did have a couple of really nice passes, had a great downfield delivery to tight end Bryce Pierre that resulted in a touchdown. He looked really good. Bourguet, of course, his smooth, confident self, misfiring a couple downfield throws that would have been some big-time touchdowns, but at least they were long and incomplete rather than perhaps off target and in danger of a turnover. So a couple of the other weapons look really good. Elijah Badger had a really good session. Guillory continuing his strong spring as well. Switching over on the defensive side, it was probably you guys got a little tired of me talking on these quick hits about BJ Green because he was just a menace in spring and he's picking up right where he left off. He looked really good today. He was really in the backfield a lot and getting after it a little bit. So he's getting after it a good amount. It's going to be real interesting to see just exactly how this pass rush comes into play. And of course, you mentioned this is only helmets, but he did it all through spring. So you got to think that BJ Green, after 2 seasons of leading this team in sacks, is going to be a big time difference maker, taking a big step forward in year 3 if he's able to kind of keep things going on as well. 2 guys that their status is still kind of up in the air in terms of their eligibility for this upcoming year because Jake Smith, the wide receiver, the former Gatorade Player of the Year, and Xavier Alford, the transfer from USC, both of those guys, and kind of interestingly so, started their careers off at Texas before transferring to USC and now transferring, of course, to ASU as 2-time transfers without a degree. They're still waiting if they're going to be able to be eligible this year, but both of them looked really good today. Alford had a tremendous spring. Jake was a little in and out due to injury, but finished on a strong note. You'll hear from him on this episode here in just a few moments. I was able to catch up with him. I think it was his first time that he spoke to the media since arriving in Tempe. But all in all, it was an interesting first day. Not a tremendous amount you can take with it because, again, this is helmets only. They're kind of integrating a lot of new pieces. So we'll see how things track and trend as things get going. But kind of the guys that you expect to be looking good, Bourguet at the quarterback spot. You mentioned Pine did have a pretty solid day as well. The receivers, Jalen Conyers, tight end, looked really good. And, of course, on the defensive side, BJ Green especially was jumping out there. Good to see Juwan Mitchell, the new linebacker, the Tennessee transfer. He looked good out there as well. So we'll see how things go once they're actually starting to get to, I believe they're supposed to get to Shells in the middle of the week, and then near the latter part of the week and into next week, they'll be able to do full pads and get those pads popping a little bit. So we will, of course, be in your podcast feeds each and every day, trying to track what's been going on at practice. But in the interim, before we get to that, make sure you check out the Speak of the Devils sit-down series episode I dropped today with Michael Matus, the defensive end. It's good to see him back out there. Of course, missed all of last year, suffered an ACL injury that he suffered in fall camp. He's back. He was participating in drills. We had a great conversation with him. I have one with Travion Brown, the linebacker, and Isaiah Glass, ASU's left tackle, both to come this week. So make sure you have your notifications turned on for those podcasts that'll be on the Speak of the Devils feed here shortly. And right now, after practice, was able to catch up with, of course, wide receiver Jake Smith, who you hear from right now, and then also ASU offensive coordinator Beau Baldwin. So let's get things started off with Jake.
It's good. It's just great to be out here playing ball. It's hot, but that's Arizona, so we're out here having fun.
Has it been a while since you felt healthy in yourself in a fall camp?
Yeah, it's definitely been a while, but I feel healthy now, and everything's going great. Feel healthy, so yeah.
So coming off of spring ball, what were some of the things that you obviously cleaned up a little bit in spring, got back and healthy, and early in the summer, what were some things that you kind of focused on to get ready for fall camp?
I think I definitely focused on my releases and just overall route running, and that's something I'm still working on and something that I need to continue to improve on. But that's something that I've definitely worked on, and I think as I continue to improve with that throughout fall camp, then that'll be good, and that can potentially take my game to another level. So that's the main thing I focus on.
What's this journey been like for you? Local, super high profile, Texas success as a freshman right out of the gates, and then kind of gone on a long sort of process to get to ASU. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, but you just gotta roll with the punches, and I'm just happy to be here and home and happy and healthy and playing football. So it's it's definitely been a long process, but everybody goes through their own journey, their own ups and downs. So just happy to be here.
What's it been like? Just obviously the physical recovery of an injury is something big, but also kind of just the mental side of things, not getting discouraged and missing a couple seasons in a row. What's it that side of the recovery process been like for you?
Yeah, I would say mentally it's probably harder to deal with injuries, and again, I think it's about being persistent and picking yourself up, and I definitely went through my ups and downs with the mental side of injuries. But I'm just, like I said, I feel great now, mentally and physically. So it's been a journey, but I feel good now.
Was there a time that you thought that you weren't going to play again, and if so, how long did that last?
Yeah, there was a period of a few months where I wasn't sure. I felt like my career was kind of up in the air, and ultimately, I made the decision that I want to try to keep playing, and that here at ASU is the best place for me to continue to do that, and to have my support system at home, and just to be here. So, yeah.
So the support system at home you mentioned is a big factor. What are some of the other factors that led you to ASU?
Coach Dillingham and Coach Samples, Coach Carrington. Coach Samples and Carrington and I go way back to Texas. So I know those guys. I know they're great guys, great coaches. And Coach Dillingham was one of the first people that I reached out to. I knew Coach Dilly through just recruiting process, and I knew he was a Scottsdale guy as well. So those were big factors as well.
So was it just like getting some time for your body to naturally heal and kind of be away from the game that led to the thinking that maybe you could do this again?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I just needed some time. My foot needed some time, and mentally needed some time. Like I mentioned earlier, it's just injuries are tough. So just took some time to heal physically and mentally, and yeah, I would say.
Pretty deep wide receiver room, a lot of guys, a lot of talent, various skill sets as well. What's it like just kind of working and competing with those guys?
Yeah, it's a great group. It's a really great group. It's fun. I really enjoy being around the guys, and I feel like we're just a tight-knit group. There's a lot of talent, a lot of different skill sets, like you said, but overall we have fun. We're a family, and it's been great working with those guys, and so yeah.
Quarterback competitions kind of taking center stage in fall camp. What's it like just kind of working with a lot of those different quarterbacks and not necessarily having the QB1 as of yet to kind of lock on and build that rapport with?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately that decision's going to be up to Coach Dillingham, but we've got a bunch of great guys in the QB room, and I know they're battling it out. So it's been great to work with all of them. They all have their own unique skill sets, and it's just great to be around great quarterbacks. And no matter who ends up starting, I think we're going to be great.
With day one of obviously fall camp, but I mean with the offense, what Coach wants to do, your comfort level more from day one of spring to now day one of fall. So it looked like you guys were at a pretty quick pace with the offense.
Yeah, I think everyone's more comfortable day one of today versus day one of spring. It's definitely an offense with a lot of moving parts, but once you get it down, and I think a lot of guys have it down now. So definitely the comfort level was better today.
Do you feel like the speed and explosiveness that you were used to is all the way back?
Yeah, I feel like it is. Yeah, I feel like it is.
And what does it feel like, kind of knowing that?
Great, just happy, just great to be happy and healthy.
What's a successful 2023 look like for X-Men?
I think a successful 2023 for me would just be a successful season as a team. Just whatever, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but having fun and winning some games and having a great year.
Can you just go through kind of the work you've had to put in this offseason to get fully healthy and get this new scheme under wraps and get your feet under you?
Yeah, it's I had been off for a while. I was injured for a while, so just getting my body back, my strength, speed, route running abilities, everything, it definitely took some time. And so I definitely had to go through that process, but the weight training staff here was great and really pushed me along and helped me with that. And I felt like I recovered physically very well. In terms of scheme and things, it definitely, like I said, it's an offense with a lot of moving parts, but once you have a month or two under your belt, which we had in the spring and all summer, it's definitely flowing a lot easier, I think, for all of us now. So.
And here's my conversation with ASU offensive coordinator Beau Baldwin.
Day one in the books, obviously it's hard to just helmets. What are some things that kind of jumped out to you, just kind of initial view?
Yeah, I mean, there's things we have to clean up. I mean, certain things we're a little sloppy with the football that will improve. But in terms of, coming off the summer and where they were at the end of spring, we threw a lot at them today. I mean, we didn't treat it like your standard, 4 or 5 concepts or this or that. I mean, we're throwing a lot at them. And there's going to be times where there's, a little bit of a blockage, when you throw that much on them. But because of that and because they, will go through some of the tougher times early, it's gonna put us in a great spot a week from now, week and a half from now.
And of course, obviously, quarterback's going to be the big storyline here. And so what are some things that you saw from you, Trent and Drew, especially kind of looked like they were getting the kind of line share and splitting those ones?
Yeah, they're understanding more where the ball needs to go. They're understanding now, just everything from the read progression, where their eyes need to be, where their ball needs to go. And it doesn't mean they're perfect by any means, but every play call, everything coming in is painting a better picture for them. But in fairness, it's all brand new for everybody. But you can see it painting the picture, and that's a credit to them. They worked a lot, on their own. They worked a ton outside of any hours that we're allowed to work with them, to get to a spot where calls are painting a picture and they're able to go.
So obviously before, kind of the full pads and the full contact kind of gets a more complete picture. In these first like week of camp, just kind of maybe in the helmets and maybe eventually shells, what are some of the things that are going to kind of top of your to-do list? What are things that we're going to want to get ready for before these guys get in full contact? Yeah, we
got to get better tomorrow at lining up pre-snap. In other words, we got to be quicker into getting into the proper formation, getting the call, getting it in, and getting into the correct formation, immediately. That's something that was just a little bit lethargic today. And once we line up faster pre-snap and are ready to go, it's going to put us in a better spot post-snap. So that's probably the biggest thing I want to see going into tomorrow, is that we do a better job. And, same thing, it's just urgency between the plays that jumped out at me. Now, I got to go watch film, and there'll be plenty of things we see, but that's what I felt a little bit today as we went through practice.
I just spoke with Jake Smith, and seeing him healthy now, local guy, a lot of very talented player. Just what can he bring potentially to this offense?
He can bring a ton. I mean, he's very versatile. He's he can go inside, he can go outside. Got tremendous speed. I mean, you guys have all seen. I mean, a lot of people around here, and a lot of people in Texas, a lot of people in a lot of places have seen. The what he brings to the table. So I'm excited about it.